Hi friends, The Meg. I went and saw The Meg, the first film, in 2018, and I took you along with me. So today, we're doing it again for The Meg 2, The Trench. Believe it or not, I know this is not my pace. Action, creature feature. I mean, creature feature I don't mind, but it's not really my pace, the action portion of this. But I don't mind The Meg. I thought The Meg was exactly what I was expecting, the first film. And if you do want to recap, I've actually gone through and recapped the whole film. It goes for 2 hours, so if you don't have time to watch it before watching the new one, which you'll want to do because there are some reoccurring / returning characters, the main character, I have done a whole recap. In 8 minutes, you can get caught up to speed and know exactly what you're getting yourself into for The Meg 2. The Meg is actually based on a book series, and there's 8 books, which is insane. And the second one is The Trench, which is what we're going to go see today. The Meg 2, of course, starring Jason Statham as Jonas Taylor once again. It also has some other reoccurring characters, including Mac, and the little girl Mei Ying is back as well. In this one, a research team encounters multiple threats while exploring the depths of the ocean. So there you go, multiple Megs, here we go. I don't know, I kind of gone in with this knowing it's just gonna be fun, but another reason I'm optimistic about this one is because it's directed by Ben Wheatley. The last one wasn't. This one, it's just a very interesting choice. He's got a very iconic style, and I don't know if it's gonna really match up, but he's done stuff like A Field in England, Kill List, which people love. He also did Sightseers, so very British, skewed, kind of dry, either terrifying or comedy aspects. So it's really interesting to go to this kind of production, which is all out, all about the monster, all about the CGI, and upon rewatching the last one, I think it's actually pretty good. I don't think it's outdated, which is really weird to say, and I think that this one might be even better. What I'm really excited about is I'm going to go see it, I believe, in Extreme Screen, which is an IMAX, but it's the best I've got where I live. So, of course, this kind of film, is it only worth seeing on the big screen? I'm gonna let you know. Let's go check out The Meg 2, The Trench, and I'll let you know whether it's worth going out and seeing it at the cinema as soon as possible, or if you can even watch it at home, because I don't know, is the story gonna be there without the action, the intense sound? Is it worth your time? Let's go check out The Meg, The Trench. Let's go. No. I tell you what, I had lower my expectations. I was well prepared for what I was walking myself into. I just rewatched the first Meg, and this, no. It kind of suffers from sequel syndrome in the worst possible way. I'm so sorry to say that. The Meg, The Meg, The Trench. God, how do I even explain this? I mean, it is basically the same formula. I mean, unlike the first one where they're going to go save people, and do an emergency dive to rescue a crew. This is, again, going down into the thermocline for a dive, and they discover that evil is upon them. Let's just say that. I'm going to keep it vague, obviously, with the storyline, but this film, when I say it suffers from sequel syndrome, what I expect from these kinds of films, especially action films, when it's turning into a franchise, is it is going to follow the same formula, and I'm very much into that. I think that's fine. I do think that there is something to say about switching up the formula and giving it a new kind of twist, but this one seems to take every aspect I didn't love from the first film and only keep that. It is so convoluted. I felt like it was just setting up certain action sequences or certain situations so that they could have these like dire moments, but everything in between them, linking them, the story didn't make any sense. The dialogue is really poor. The motives don't make any sense. And it's just like they're really one-dimensional characters, which, I mean, that was in the first one, but I felt like the first one, at least they had kind of like a clear purpose and it made sense, even though there was like a baddie who was like ultra bad and like comically bad, cartoon-like. I felt like it still made sense, where this one, it's just like whatever is happening at the moment, they explain with really poor dialogue. I have never said this before, but the film kind of reminds me of a ride where they give you this weird setup for a ride, like a simulator ride where they're kind of jerking you around and they give, someone pops up at the start and gives you like this crazy story, we're going under. I hope that this makes sense to some of you guys. And then you kind of just like follow along with like this jerky movement to save the day. That's actually how I felt watching this film. It was chaotic, and I'm a big fan of chaos in films, chaos in life actually, but it just was all over the place all of the time and kind of hard to follow. I mean, it was two-dimensional and you get the good guys, you get the bad guys, but any point or anything that they were trying to do made no sense. All of their decisions were just so wild, and like I said, I feel like it was just all set up to get them into certain situations so that we could just watch that unfold. It didn't really flow very well. At times it almost felt like a Benny Hill comical ride, which is kind of funny because it is like a British director. I don't think that that's what he was going for though. The funny thing is that the film started with this idea of how the little girl from the first film, how she was struggling with the loss of her mother. At the very start of the film, they explain. And then she kind of connects with this Meg. And I thought that it was going to be this whole, I guess, metaphor for their relationship and without a mother and captivity. And then it just kind of goes out the window. I would say, I have to warn you, a large portion of this film does not have any Megs in it at all. That's kind of what I liked about the first one. It was a silly, straightforward creature trying to kill us. We must kill creature. But in this film, it has so many different setups, and how it got to A to B to C to D was so confusing, and it really relied on characters having really strange motives, as I've said, and just making really dumb decisions. So I know that you guys are probably frustrated by people making dumb decisions in movies, and this one is like so far-fetched. I felt like I was watching what I imagine Fast and the Furious is now, like some of the action sequences. And even, of course, in the first one, they're saving people over and over again by this much, but I don't know, it kind of still worked. In this one, it's just like the reasonings, the explosions, all of this action and chaos. It's just comical, and like I said, like Benny Hill, but just unbelievable, which, of course, it's Megs. I know that sounds silly, but I went in expecting it to be a dumb, fun shark movie. But it left a lot of that at the wayside and got into these dramas that made no sense and felt like a waste of time. And then in the chaotic moments, it just feels like you're on a simulator ride and there's no rhyme or reason to anything that's happening to you, but it's happening. I think that the film also suffers being a sequel because they decided not to set it up at all. They do have like a little start portion where they kind of have some banter back and forth, but you kind of have to figure out who's who and their relationship with each other. And if you hadn't seen the first film, I mean, I really watched the recap because you kind of have to understand the relationships between the people and the relationships and bonds they make, because this film does not give you any of that. You have no idea the relationship between the little girl and Jonas or anything like that. They don't make it very clear. They just expect you to catch on. And there's so many characters in the first one and so many characters in this one, so I don't know. Yeah, they just are expecting you to know, to go in and know. Overall, this is a sequel that I feel like mirrored some of the structure from the first one, but not the good parts. And I just felt like the characters were just so plain, and they tried to make it like a jokey fun time, but it just got lost in the sauce for sure. It was just a mess, to be honest. Yeah, I'm so bummed out. I thought this was just going to be a fun, even like a 6 out of 10, but for me personally, I'm gonna have to give this a 4 out of 10. I was waiting for it to be over, and that's a huge sign to me that it is not on the positive side of the scale. So I'm really sad to have to give it a 4 out of 10. For originality, no, it's like mushed together with so many other amazing deep sea horror movies that we love, I love, but I know a lot of you guys love. I've seen everything from those in this one, and everything that was cool about the first Meg was cooler in the first Meg than what they tried to add on in this film. So I'd give it like a 3 out of 10. And for scare, I won't lie, there are definitely some moments where I'm like, oh my god, and like on the edge of my seat, but it's kind of silly last minute moments. It's still somehow PG-13. There's not a lot of blood in the Meg franchise. They intentionally did it that way. I don't know how this is PG though, to be honest. I think it should be at least M. I do think it's like on the edge of your seat thrilling, but not really scary, so I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10 for that. Anyway, did you see the Meg 2? Let me know what you thought down below. I probably wouldn't recommend running out to see this one, especially with so many other really amazing films out at the moment. I think it's probably best to spend your money on something else and spend 2 hours of your life on something else. I actually hate doing this when it's not a good time, guys. It's not fun for me either. So if you really enjoy the movie, I am really happy for you, and let me know what you loved about it. I would love some positivity in this space. And thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you all so much for your support and your sweet messages. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you all soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.